All right, hey, what's up, everybody? I got a quick thought that I wanted to share today. I know I've been MIA for a little while, and this again, I'm just going to say blanket statement from here on out. Most of my videos are going to talk about religion quite a bit, so just deal with it. I want to tell you two quick stories and then tie it into a principle, and hopefully I can do this in under like 3 minutes, so I'm going to try and be quick. First story, and I need to give you a little bit of backstory on this one just in case you're not Mormon. Mormons go to church for 3 hours every Sunday, and going to church and staying for all 3 hours is a big deal. It's like, that's what Mormons do. You go to church, you stay for the whole 3 hours, and that's it. And it's kind of expected that you're going to do that. And the second thing is, I have a friend who is engaged, and the natural tendency, everybody sort of thinks, once you're engaged, right, you're committed. You've committed to this one person. Okay, so that's kind of the setup for these two stories. So I'm sitting in church last week, not yesterday, but last week, and I had this distinct thought, this distinct feeling that I should get up and leave. I mean, the first hour, I hadn't even got halfway through the first hour of this 3-hour church block, and I got the distinct impression that I should get up, and I saw the place where I was supposed to go in my head, and it basically, it wasn't in words, but it said, go here and pray. And I was like, what? You don't leave church as a Mormon. You just don't do that. And so I kind of fought it. And then I thought, why, I pray, why can't I pray here? Like, isn't this church? Isn't this where we're supposed to pray? And the responding thought, the responding feeling, not in words again, but this is the distinct message. It was, if you stay, you will be too distracted to have the conversation that you need to have today. And I thought, whoa. So I sat there for a bit and kind of, chewed on it for a second. Then I got up and I left. Okay, so that's the first story. Second story is, a good friend of mine is engaged to this girl. He's not very religious. She's super Christian, super religious. And they were going to get married. And we were having a conversation. And I told him, I said, you got to understand something. If you get into this marriage, both of you need to consider the fact that you will go into this marriage expecting the other person to change. This guy is going to expect his soon-to-be wife to be okay with him not being religious, to sort of ease off her religiousness, if you will. And she's expecting him to become a Christian. That's just standard default. That's absolutely what they're expecting. But they both need to consider that the other is never going to change, because it's possible. And the last thing that either of them want is to get 10 years down the road, maybe a couple of kids, and be still expecting the other person to make a total radical shift. So I just chatted with him and I said, look, you got to have this conversation, because if you don't, you're going to get 10 years down the road in this marriage and suddenly have to deal with these things. And now you've got kids that are going to keep you around, and it's just going to be resentment. It's going to be awful. So he had the conversation and they broke up. And I didn't feel bad at all. I broke up this couple. I mean, it wasn't actually me. They had the conversation. It was very mature of them, but they had the conversation and they ended up breaking up. Now, why do I tell you these two stories? As Mormons, and as a lot of times as religious people, we feel like we have a duty to come to church every week and to stay every week. We feel like there's a lot of things that we do based on this sense of duty. And same thing in this relationship this guy had. He was engaged. Engaged is like the last step before the most dutiful commitment that you can make in life, which is marriage. So it's very, very clear. He had a sense of duty. He was like studying up on religion. He was basically becoming a Christian apologetic, even though he wasn't really religious himself, for the sake of supporting his wife, or soon-to-be wife, because he thought he was supposed to do that. He thought that's what you do, right? That's just the same thing as saying he thought he had a duty to do that. What I would submit to you is that duty is no longer a good reason to do anything. If you act based on a sense of duty, you should reconsider your action. And I would direct you, especially you Mormons, to I'll put a link to it under here, under the video. But I would direct you to a talk given by one of the leaders of the Mormon Church, named Dieter F. Uchtdorf, who spoke at this last general conference about, in the priesthood session. He said specifically, if you're here at this meeting, he was talking about that general conference, which is another one of those duty things, right? You come, you go to priesthood meeting because that's what you do. If you're at this meeting because your priesthood leaders expect it of you, and because they'll They'll not be happy if you don't. You're here for the wrong reason. He said, if I was here because President Monson, who's the president of the church, he's the leader of our church, if I was here because he said that I was here, that would be the wrong reason. He said, if I was here because, he said, if you're here because family, your wife, your children, your parents expect you to be here, and they'll be disappointed if you don't, you're here for the wrong reason. He said, if I was here because my wife expects me to be here, I would be here for the wrong reason. He said, the only reason why you should be in this meeting is because you want to be here. He said, the only reason why I am here, and again, this is like number 3 in the whole church. The only reason why I am here is because I want to be. My being here is a reflection. He didn't say this, but I'm kind of paraphrasing. He said, my being here is a reflection of my internal self. I want to be here. It has nothing to do with what anybody else says. I want to be here. So I would submit to you, and I know that I've gone over my 3 minutes by almost double, so I'll just wrap this up quick. So what I would submit to you is that if you find yourself in situations where you're acting because someone else expects you to act that way, or because you feel like you have a duty to act that way, you are doing things for the wrong reasons. The way that we should be thinking about actions and the way that we should be thinking about what we're doing is this a reflection of me? And then if what we're doing is a reflection of us, but we don't like what we're doing, we don't change the what, we change us. So we don't change the action, we change the reason. We change our desires, we change ourselves. And then everything that we do is a reflection of our true self. So it has nothing to do with what we do, it has everything to do with why. I'll say that one more time just to drive it home. It has nothing to do with what we do, and has everything to do with why. And at the end of the day, from a Christian standpoint, from a Mormon standpoint, from whatever, only our desires, our true self, is going to count at the last day. What we do here means nothing. Who we become while we're here and why we do what we do while we're here, that's what counts. So, if you find yourself acting and the only reason why you're doing it is because of duty, reconsider. Change who you are before you change what you do. See you on the flip side.